Andy, how you doing, man?
Hey Josh, I'm very good, thanks, mate. How are you?
I'm doing well. Andy, I love the relationship you and I had meeting almost 1 year ago right now. I remember you were one of the very first demos that I even had when I started joining the Quill team, and got me very excited about some of the opportunities that we had, especially spanning out to the UK. So big shout out to Andy and the team network because it's a big reason why Quill pushed as hard as we did going international as soon as we did as well. Want to give a big kudos on that side. But Andy, as we're diving in, do you want to give everyone a quick recap of who the heck Andy is and what the heck Team Network is as well?
Well, I'm not officially paid by Quill, but obviously wearing your Quill t-shirt. Although I don't take notes, and I'm wearing your t-shirt. I'm the managing director of Team. We're a recruitment networking organisation. Been established about 31 years. There's 500 recruitment agencies in Team and 75 industry suppliers, which I'm delighted Quill have joined recently as well. And we're basically we're a network and a platform for recruitment business founders to build their networks, save money, generate more revenue for their business, and we're a safe space for them to share experiences and tap into each other's knowledge.
Well, I'm always really curious. What got you to go from doing the day-to-day grunt work to getting more into more of the networking business there?
I started a recruitment business back in 2014. So I've been working in recruitment 23 years, although I obviously don't look it. I keep my hair nice and short to keep the grey out, but worked in recruitment for a very long time. Worked for a really successful engineering recruitment agency where I built a team of defense recruiters, did it for 7 years. We were really, really successful, but I always wanted to be my own boss. I think, like most of us in recruitment, we've got to try it once in our careers, right? Because you'll never know. It's one of those itches that you have to scratch. I bumped into Team by pure fluke the week that I started my recruitment business. It had such a profound impact on the way that my business grew, how I built my network, how I dealt with other recruiters. That when Team was acquired, so we've split into 12 regions around the UK. I was asked by Team to run one of our regions and basically chair networking meetings for other recruitment founders every quarter. One of the members that used to come to my meetings ended up buying Team. So he acquired Team. He got in touch with me and he said, I want you to come on board and I want you to help me grow Team, get us out there, get everyone talking about some of the amazing benefits that recruitment founders can get when they join the network. So I jumped at the opportunity. I've said this loads of times. I've got one of the absolute best jobs in recruitment.
I love that.
I'm really, really love the environment. I love the team that I get to work with here at HQ. But I do genuinely think we give so much back to the industry, and I'm really proud to be a part of it.
What are some of the big mistakes that you find like new agency founders or recruiters make when they're trying to scale the businesses beyond themselves?
Me specifically, I try to emulate and copy some of the things that the business that I was employed by did, and I made some big mistakes. So I picked the wrong CRM. The biggest one was I bought myself a £2,500 iMac to run my business off of, and then I bought a CRM, paid for it for 2 years, and then realised that it didn't work on a Mac. So I had to use a Microsoft desktop emulator for 2 years until I got rid of that CRM. Just tons of things, buying the wrong products, buying the wrong services, not knowing where to go for support. My backer of my business and mentor hadn't come from the recruitment world as well.
Mhm.
Not having a mentor was a big mistake, and I think a lot of recruitment business owners have that. You can't just open the doors to your business and expect it to be like it was when you were working for another company.
Yeah.
I was a defense recruiter. We used to work with the majority of the big prime companies across the UK. And I assumed that when my non-compete agreement ended 6 months after I left my old company, they would all literally just say, welcome back. You're straight on the PSL. Here's all of our work. It didn't work like that at all, and I think a lot of recruitment businesses, especially in those first 6 months, having a network of people around you that you can tap into and just ask those nagging questions that you can't answer yourself. I think that's one thing that a lot of them miss out on. They don't do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just some of the myriad of mistakes. But I think they're trying to do it all as well yourself.
Mhm.
Being responsible for finance, admin, credit control, invoicing, candidate attraction, advertising, you name it. You've got to wear all these different hats when you start a recruitment business. And it's tough. It's
Yeah.
really tough those first days.
The one thing that I just honestly laugh about a little bit coming from like a tech sales background is always what I've done. Looking at the business of especially third-party recruiting, you're outbound both ways. So to your point, not only are you running a business, and that's hard enough as it is, even as I've got to see scaling Quill, but the fact that a lot of the demand that you're generating for yourself is outbound, cold calling, getting attraction, not only from the client side, but also the candidate side of things. It makes it an incredibly difficult spot to go from 0 to 1, build some of that attraction and stuff like that too. And obviously just a big thing inside of the recruitment business is so often like feast or famine, right? In terms of how it's operating, depending on how your cycles actually start working. How
Yeah.
do like successful agencies create more of a predictable recurring revenue model? Like what are some of the best practices that you've seen, especially not only as you're going from that 0 to 6 month mark, but even as you're continuing to scale after that too, because it never ends, right? If you don't have pipeline, it's like it never ends.
You've got to build systems that produce predictable results, yeah, each time. And I think consistency, like with everything in life, consistency is absolutely king. When I was early on in my recruitment career, I had a mentor that, in fact, I've still got the email that he gave me in 2007, which was printed out with my wrong surname, by the way, but I kept the email. But with his like daily KPIs that you need to hit in order to achieve. And even if I was to go back to a desk tomorrow, those would be the KPIs that I set for myself. Building systems, like you talk about candidate attraction, most people will pick up a CV or have a CV sent to them maybe on LinkedIn, or they get it from a job board or an advert or referral. They might just call that candidate once, go in the CRM, never contact them again. I used to have sequences and touch points. So if I rung a candidate, first thing I do is I punch their name into my mobile phone, send them a text message. This is Andy from whatever company I was working at the time. Please save me as a contact in your phone so you see when I'm ringing you, really important. And I'd have like shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts set up on my phone. So I'd put in 2 or 3 characters and it would populate with a message that was pertinent to that individual, get them into a call cycle. I used to use video quite a lot, particularly in the last sort of 5 years of video outreach, to make sure that people actually come back to you. It's not just a generic, AI didn't exist at that point, but not like these generic spammy messages that everyone pumps out at the moment, but just building those systems that work for you and your business, and constantly test things and constantly refine, your processes to make them those little, every time you do it, try and make it that 1% better each time.
Yeah, I love that. Well, and even just talking about like the outbound or outreach side of things too. I remember when I was with HubSpot, the big thing that we always talk to the sales team about is that it usually takes 15 to 20 touch points to like just get a response. And I'm like, and that's even with a big brand recognized name like a HubSpot. And I even know one of the things that I found, even going from like my first job was at Vidyard, decently big name, especially with COVID, got a lot bigger. HubSpot's one of the fastest growing companies to ever live. And then I came to Quill. And I remember when we first started building out the systems here and we started cold calling, it was the first time where there was never any name recognition in the first 3 months that I was at Quill to start getting some of that momentum going too. And obviously, to your point, having all those different touch points, the text message, the video, the thing, warming that individual up to actually start getting that recognition going is such a big piece that at least initiate that conversation there. Obviously, the one big thing is just getting a response, but what were some of the best practices that you've even seen to nurture candidates, nurture clients? Because we know timing is everything. And if we don't stay on top of it, I know Ryan Surant, who's a big real estate agent in New York, he talks about just like the endless follow-up cycle where it's like 10 years following up with some of the clients that he's trying to work with before he gets a sale. What are some of those best practices you even see across the recruiting business? Because I can see that going both sides for a client and the candidate side of things too.
You have to get in the mindset of giving things away for free. Like, you have to give things of value to your prospects, both your clients and your candidates, consistently. I'm seeing some really, really great recruitment businesses, running weekly webinars with thought leaders, HR managers, hiring managers, top candidates. They convince them to come onto a call, record it, talk about how they're finding the market, how they like to be treated as an individual, things that they're seeing, trends, going to events that are specific to the industry. I'm I'm really lucky. I've got a talking slot at the Rec Expo in
Let's
Birmingham.
go.
And I put in a topic so that no one knows about this yet. I've actually got a brand new pair of Jordans. So I always buy myself a new pair of trainers. I'm a trainer guy. So I always buy myself a new pair of trainers every time I talk at the Rec Expo. And I got my Jordans just delivered, my new ones. So I'm going to do a post about this. But I'm going to talk about how the best recruiters like go to events, how they find events in their industry, what they do before the event to connect up with all the talk, all the speakers and all of the businesses that are going, what they do when they go and what they do when they come back, like that follow up.
Yeah.
The follow up is the one part I think a lot of recruiters miss out on. They miss golden opportunities because they don't follow up quick enough. So I think like going to events like that, creating content based on using things like Quill, you know, to capture sentiment in rooms, record conversations, using all of that data that you get to build like really cool content that's relevant to your industry, your market, and sharing that. You know, if I was to go to a big defense event now, you know, I'd be recording all the conversations that were happening there. I'd walk around, I'd talk into my Quill, you know, recording conversations like, this is this stand, they're talking about these products, there's all of this happening in this part of the exhibition, you know, taking that, sharing that, you know, what a great piece of content to share with candidates. Just spent 2 days at this big event relevant to our industry. These are all the things that I found out about at the industry that you might have missed if you hadn't gone. Not many recruiters are doing stuff like that. And I think they're the things that that would really, really stand out. When I worked in-house for a year at one of my defense contractor old clients, I got approached 300 times by recruitment agencies in 1 year wanting to work with us. One of them used to give me content that I could use. So they used to basically track every vacancy that went on and off of the career sites of all of our competitors.
Yeah.
And then once a quarter, they would like, well, I can't remember if it was at once a month or quarter, I can't remember, but they'd send me a report, PDF report. This is what's happening with all of your competitors. These are all the jobs that have gone on. These are the jobs that they've gone off. And then on the second page of it, they would summarize all of the conversations they'd had with candidates. So for the different skill sets, systems engineering, project managers, software engineers, whatever, this is the salary expectations that they want. This is the typical notice period. Would they relocate? Do they come with a certain level of clearance? And they'd summarize that into a document that I used to use with my hiring managers. So I'd say, look, you know, I've got this candidate here. They're looking for this salary expectation. Look at it against the benchmark. Offer that candidate now. Don't sit on it for a week because you're going to lose this individual. So giving something away for free is like, it's the key thing to build those really valuable contacts, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's that's where some of the really, really cool recruiters are kind of stepping, you know, out of the old school game and doing things really differently.
I love that. You know, and I even know that's such a big thing that Alex Ramosi, if you've ever heard of him, talks about so much. I know he's coming out with his 100 million revenue models or something like that book in the next little bit too. But a big thing that he talked about in his first two books is that exact same idea of giving stuff away for free and then just having that lead magnet that brings them back in because they're going to get so much value, they're going to want to come back for you. And so I think there's such great parallels to just how business operates, so what we can do in our recruiting business using a lot of those same principles as well. And Andy, I know you were touching on some of the different AI things and some of even the tools that you're using as well. I know AI is obviously something that everyone and their dog is talking about right now. How are you actually seeing AI change things like workflows and recruiting today, not just in theory, but actually in practice as you've been working through a lot of the different 500 members across the team network there?
I mean, AI is such a massive thing, isn't it? So how am I seeing recruiters use it? I'm seeing it being used really well within CRM systems to filter out inappropriate applications, to match up. So not using kind of traditional Boolean search strings and methodology for matching, filtering candidates down into skill as well as experience. I think it's really important. It's been used quite a lot now. So I think the thing about AI and recruitment is that everything is moving so fast. And I think one of the biggest challenges for recruitment business owners is keeping up with it all. And every time you know, I get approached probably once or twice a day of potential suppliers to team that want to join us as SPs, but they've only been in business for 6 months or 4 months or 8 months. And there's no real, like, their AI is supposed to be the next big thing, you know, that's going to revolutionize recruitment. I think people that are using it really well are blending it with the best things they do as being a human, the
Hmm.
conversations, the nuance, understanding how people work. I'm a bit of a Marvel fan as well as my trainers, but I talk about like the longer you work in recruitment, the stronger your Spidey sense gets.
Yeah.
And I think the recruiters that are using AI to support their Spidey sense are the ones that are really, really winning at the moment. But you asked me how recruiters are using it, how we're using it as well. Note takers. This isn't just a massive plug for Quill, but I can't see any reason why recruiters wouldn't be using AI note takers daily now. I think they've got so advanced that just the time saving aspect of them, I can't wait till there's a time where every conversation that I have in a business context is captured in some way that I can go back and tap into and utilize that data and, in a nuanced conversation with people, obviously, not just completely out of a random place, but capturing that information, saving time. They're definitely the best ways that recruiters are using.
Yeah, and I even know I was watching this podcast from Saster, and one of the things that Jason Lemkin was talking about was he created AI Jason, which is basically a repository of every conversation he's ever had. So it's an all-knowing Jason because as humans we forget things, but if everything's tracked in documents, it makes it very easy to search and query a lot of that information. I know, again, just biasly looking at the value proposition that we even have of not taking notes is we push all that data back into, I know for Team HubSpot, maybe that's even Cherry, Bullhorn, things like that too. So giving all of that enriched data so that you can actually better leverage the AI systems that are going inside of the platforms as well. Because I even know the one thing that Jason talked about was that he sees this world for more of a sales side of things, but I could even see it inside of recruiting where if you have all that knowledge and information, when you're thinking about a new role in defense contracting comes up, you can then query your database to start benchmarking what do compensation expectations look like, what do best practices look like in terms of 3, 6, 9 month of KPIs and objectives these new hires should be doing as well. And even just making it easier to do things like candidate matching and automating a lot of those processes. And so I think
Mm.
there's some very cool back end things that are happening, some really interesting front end things to help with sourcing automation, finding better candidates, automating a lot of prospecting work as well. But I think to your point, there's some really cool things that are happening now that you can actually own all that data and the conversations you're having across your teams as well.
Yeah. I think, like go into a world where you speak to a hiring manager, you're obviously using a note taker on the conversation. We're humans, right? We miss stuff.
Hmm.
When we're writing things down and we forget things
Hmm.
quite quickly in most cases. But speaking to a hiring manager, taking a proper human conversation, you're not focusing on your notepad, you're not focusing on anything else. You're just having a one-to-one conversation, capturing all that data, then using that transcript to actually prompt your CRM,
Hmm.
saying this hiring manager's got these pain points. Go and look through the last year of candidate conversations that I've had. Who are the top 5 candidates I've spoken to that need to be spoken to about this opportunity? And why would they be interested based on the conversations that I had with them? That is like gold dust, right?
That's game changer. Oh, it makes it relevant, timely outreach. And that's the hardest thing, especially when you're going cold after a candidate. Like, how are you relevant? How are you timely? How can you personalize and stand out as you're actually thinking about that too? And the other thing, just being conscious of your time as well, Andy, because I know we're coming up on time here. What parts of the recruiting life cycle do you think are actually like best suited to use something like AI versus which parts should never be outsourced to a machine?
Never ever do cold outreach emails, text messages, WhatsApp messages, LinkedIn DMs. Like, don't use AI to scrape and just send it without checking anything. Yeah, I've literally lost count. I've got a photo on my phone. I'm not going to show you here, but maybe you can link to it afterwards. But I've got a picture of a red groove from Despicable Me with just no written underneath it. And I've saved that on my phone now. And that's what I just send back to people when I get these spammy messages. And I get them so much now. Like, you damage your own reputation and your own brand so quickly by sending out this rubbish. Everyone that uses it, you might send it to one of those messages to 1,000 prospects, right? And maybe out of those 1,000, maybe 50 might be a potential client of yours in the future. You're going to alienate those 50 people by sending out that spammy content. Make sure that your BD, your strategy is like it's relevant. I use video outreach for BD. Well, I used to, not obviously not now a team, but I still do it when team members or prospects look at my LinkedIn profile. People have viewed you. I see someone that looks relevant. I'll send them a LinkedIn connection request. If they accept, I'll send them a video saying, "Hey," I'll record a video on their page and I'll say, "Thanks a lot for connecting up with me. Like, it's wonderful to join your network. This is what I do. I'd love to have a chat." And I point around their screen, like, "I'd love to have a chat with you about your business," or "We've got a mutual connection. I've worked in a similar industry to you. We support businesses like you. Let's have a chat. There's a link underneath here. Book a 15-minute call me." Like, nothing ventured, nothing gained. My open rate on my videos is 86%.
That's awesome.
So, you don't get that from using AI spammy outreach. So I think that's the key thing. Like, don't use it for that. Everyone hates that. Pitch slapping, it's called, right? Pitch slap.
I love it. And just as we wrap things up here, Andy, as well, for those who don't know, what exactly is the Team Network and how does it help support independent recruiting firms that are typically a typical agency network doesn't actually?
So we're, as I say, we're a network of 500 recruitment agencies. We're basically a community of recruitment founders in a nutshell. And what that community do is they connect with each other, they work together. So we've got one of our USPs is a job sharing platform called Exchange. In the last 5 or 6 weeks, £800,000 worth of split fee jobs have gone on this platform, where recruiters can work together to fill those jobs 50-50. Every year, about £6 million split. So it's a membership organisation where you can make more revenue by working with other small independent recruiters. We've also got 75 suppliers in the network that offer some kind of discount or deal, free trial, 1 hour consultancy, and those suppliers cover industries and products such as tech, so CRMs, websites, sales training, lawyers, accountants, insurance. So if you're really savvy and you join Team, you'd probably save 2 or 3 times your annual membership subscription by buying through the partners. We've got advertising deals which save our members £3 million a year on their advertising. So it's a community of small independent businesses working together, saving together, and also that community aspect of having other people to call upon, ask those silly questions, connect with each other. It's a great place. You can tell I love the network. It's a really, really great thing in recruitment.
No, I love it, and you can feel the love kind of coming through your voice there as well. And obviously a big reason why you went from doing your own business to actually joining Team and helping to run that on your side too. But Andy, such a pleasure getting to chat with you today. Thank you very much for joining the AI and Recruiting podcast, and really excited to keep this partnership going with the team.